Concern is that many young people don't feel the value and of representation and advocating for young people's challenges facing the young people in the country. Though once you are parliamentarian, you are elected to serve a constituency, but again, there's a duty of national call. Despite the concerns of having a parliament that was not made up by young people in the past, there still is a concern as to the gap with regards to the deficiency in leadership from the young people who are present in parliament at the moment. Javas, to you. President Kenyatta and the former Prime Minister in 2018, after their detente, had laid out some 9 issues thereabout. And then we had the BBI, which they said will intricate the country of ethnic concerns or ethnic uncertainties, foreign investment that often dip after the elections, and the divisions that arise as the result of how the elections are managed in the country. President Ruto, after his election, some 3 months later in December last year, had a memo to the bicameral parliament calling for example, the formation of the office of the official opposition leader, and also to bridge the gender gap, because parliament, as we speak this morning, is illegally unconstituted for failure of having the gender threshold as required by the Constitution. Odinga says we have to reform the elections in the country. There needs to be a resetting up of the poll commission. I mean, what will this lead to going forward? Is it going to lead to a sort of an amendment? And of what shape and scope and nature will it be?
Ayub, our politics is a classroom without walls, and the lessons are many. Sadly, those lessons don't seem to be useful to majority of us, especially the politicians. Our politics are unique because we are a unique country, and at times we go for very unique solutions.
Okay.
After independence, the first president itemized the issues bedeviling this country that the new administration was to deal with. Ignorance, disease, poverty, they are still with us to date. After that, we have had even the Kanu regime with access to water to every home by the year 2000. To date, more homes are without water than that optimist position of the Kanu regime by President Moi. We had the 9-point agenda that was supposed to be the messianic solution to the political problems and institutional problems and governance problems that we've had. And those 9-point agenda issues after the handshake did not extricate us from these governance challenges that we have. In fact, not even a single one. Because if at all there was sincerity in dealing with the 9-point agenda issues,
yes,
they didn't have to wait for the BBI. We would have seen the consciousness and the willingness to deal with whether it was draft because it was itemized,
okay,
whether it was a question of reforming the polls body, yet it had to wait for more than 2 years without commissioners. They were populated a year. It was populated to the 2022 general election, a year to it. So it tells you that there is no real resolve on the part of the leadership. In fact, with the handshake and with the 9-point agenda, corruption being one of the critical issues, we still went ahead to have the KEMSA scandal, which remains unresolved to date. Under the handshake, what does that tell us about our politicians and their resolve? Now, when it comes to the issue of the possibly itemized things that need to be dealt with under this bipartisan spirit, still I am a bit wary about the intent and resolve of our political leaders. Because so far, of the issues that have even been listed,
okay,
possibly only one is critically beneficial to the happiness and progress of Kenyans.
Okay.
That is the issue of the cost of living. The rest are beneficial mainly to the political class. Now, of the issues, one would say, and you even asked earlier,
yes,
where are the young leaders in parliament? Yes. What are they doing for the progress of this country? And beyond parliament, where are the voices of civil society? Where are the voices of the ordinary citizens in this discussion? Beyond the issue of the tax regime, which is a mess in this country that needs to be revised, we have got other important issues. So far, I have not even had a single parliamentarian on either side talking about the critical, vital recommendations that came from the judgment of the Supreme Court following the presidential petition. Very sound issues to do with the ICT, to do with the polls body, to do with the timelines for determining the presidential petition, the 14 days by the Supreme Court. Those are critical issues. None has spoken about them. None has spoken about the proposed recommendations by the IEBC following its report in the post-election evaluation report.
Yes. Nobody
is talking about those critical recommendations. Nobody is talking about the place of the visually impaired in this country and how they can vote independently without assistance. That many years since the advent of multi-party democracy and the principles of elections as contained in Article 81 of the Constitution, the people that are visually impaired in this country are still relegated to the backwaters of independent voting.
Okay.
Nobody's talking about that. I have not seen even the politicians themselves, young or not so well-resourced politicians, complaining, lamenting, and seeking to have the inclusion of the issue of party primaries in these discussions. How many young people in this country have suffered from the issue of direct nomination in political parties to the advantage of a few well-connected, well-resourced persons within those parties? How many young people have suffered because of direct nomination, and even the very party members, from the availability of the choice to determine whom is it that they want to represent them in various positions, whether senator or governor or even member of parliament or member of the National Assembly?
Okay.
So I think it is important for us to see how we can expand this conversation. Expansion of that conversation does not necessarily mean that the world and his wife should be part of this bipartisan process. What we need is the critical interests of the people, especially the majority, to be itemized as important before other issues that are very important to the political elites.
Okay.